black people afraid of chainsaws?
Don't even say it. Don't say it.
Numerous Hollywood celebrities' previous actions and remarks have faced examination, uncovering unexpected instances of bias and discrimination. While certain stars champion equality today, their historical behavior and statements often present a more intricate and concerning narrative that fans may find surprising. Number 20. Walt Disney. What transpired behind the scenes of Disney's cheerful public image? As the visionary who introduced us to Mickey Mouse and created timeless animated classics, Walt Disney built an entertainment legacy that influences culture globally. But what was the reality of working at his studio? Former employees share a range of experiences. While some commend his leadership, others, like animator Bill Melendez, depict a more nuanced view of Disney's attitude and biases. His professional ties with Nazi propagandist Leni Riefenstahl and documented discriminatory hiring practices raised significant concerns. A 1938 company letter explicitly stating that women would not be considered for creative roles underscored the gender discrimination of the era. Additionally, several Disney films from this period featured racist stereotypes and imagery, particularly noticeable in Dumbo and Song of the South. The studio did not hire its first black animator, Floyd Norman, until 1957. Number 19. John Wayne.
Lightfoot, how far away did you say they are?
Oh, about 10, 12 feet.
Make a good pattern for this buckshot.
How did America's legendary cowboy star reveal views that shocked many of his fans? Towering at 6'5", John Wayne became the embodiment of American rugged individualism for countless moviegoers. His portrayal of Rooster Cogburn in True Grit earned him an Academy Award in 1970. However, a revealing 1971 Playboy interview unveiled perspectives that clashed with his heroic on-screen image. The actor, known as the Duke, made overtly racist statements endorsing white supremacy and expressed deeply prejudiced views regarding Native Americans. His stances on civil rights, land rights, and social justice were in stark contrast to the burgeoning civil rights movement of the time. During the 1973 Academy Awards, when Shacheen Littlefeather appeared on behalf of Marlon Brando to decline his Oscar and protest Hollywood's depiction of Native Americans, security reportedly had to intervene to prevent Wayne from confronting her. While these controversies had minimal impact on his career during his lifetime, they've sparked ongoing discussions about his legacy, including recent debates over the removal of his name from the Orange County's airport. Number 18. James Stewart.
When you say my father was no businessman, I know that. Why he ever started this cheap penny-ante building alone, I'll never know.
America's most cherished good guy hiding a more troubled side, Jimmy Stewart, the Oscar-winning actor and decorated war hero, embodied wholesome characters that made him appear to be everyone's friendly neighbor. However, behind the scenes, his behavior revealed concerning aspects of his personality. His treatment of black actors, particularly during the filming of his 1971 TV sitcom, exposed deep-seated racial prejudices. He insisted on the replacement of Hal Williams, a black actor cast as a police officer, and reportedly used racial slurs during the production of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Even his close friendship with Henry Fonda was strained by their political differences, leading to a physical altercation and a mutual agreement to avoid discussing politics in the future. Number 17. Henry Ford. The innovator of the assembly line and the $5 workday transformed American manufacturing forever. However, Henry Ford leveraged his influence to propagate anti-Semitic conspiracy theories throughout his newspaper, the Dearborn Independent. His views were so extreme that they garnered praise from Adolf Hitler. While offering higher wages to workers, Ford exercised strict control over their personal lives, dispatching inspectors to ensure they adhered to his standards. His Americanization program compelled immigrants to forsake their cultural identities, and his factories enforced racial segregation. His anti-union stance resulted in violent confrontations, including the lesser-known Battle of the Overpass in 1937, where union organizers were brutally assaulted. Number 16. Bing Crosby.
Dreaming of a white Christmas.
What dark secret lay behind Bing Crosby's smooth voice and charming smile? While many remember Crosby for his melodious Christmas songs and films, there was another side to this entertainment icon. Born in 1903, he rose to fame during an era where entertainment often featured troubling racial elements. Although he formed a friendship with Louis Armstrong and supported African-American artists, his career included at least 4 blackface performances. Even in the 1954 film White Christmas, he performed Mandy, a song with origins in minstrel shows. Despite having genuine respect for artists like Armstrong, Crosby's casual use of racial slurs reflected the deeply ingrained attitudes of his time. Like many of his contemporaries, including Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland, he engaged in practices that perpetuated harmful stereotypes. Number 15. Don Imus. Many Hollywood stars launched their careers in radio, using it as a springboard to fame and lucrative opportunities. But what shocking comment ended a 30-year radio career in just a matter of days? Well, Don Imus learned this lesson the hard way. Before his downfall, he was one of the most prominent names in radio. His show, Imus in the Morning, had been running successfully for 3 decades, and he was known for pushing boundaries with his sharp humor. People even referred to him as the good-natured racist, because he often made controversial jokes but seemed to escape serious repercussions. But in 2007, everything changed. During his show, he made a reprehensible comment about Rutgers' women's basketball team, calling them nappy-headed hoes. This wasn't just another joke that would fade away. This time, the backlash was intense. Initially, NBC News and CBS Radio attempted to manage the situation with a 2-week suspension, likely thinking it would be enough to quell the outrage. However, civil rights leaders Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson became involved, leading campaigns demanding Imus' suspension. The pressure mounted until both networks had no choice but to fire him permanently. It was astonishing how swiftly it all unfolded. One day he was a radio titan, and the next he was out of a job. But here's the twist. Imus wasn't done yet. Less than a year later, he somehow managed to get back on the radio with a new show on WABC. He assembled a new cast and attempted to start fresh. He continued broadcasting until his death in 2019 at the age of 79. His story illustrates how a single moment of racism can obliterate decades of success, yet it also highlights how some individuals can still find second chances in the entertainment industry. Number 14. Paula Dean.
I want to apologize to everybody for the wrong that I've done.
Before 2013, Paula Dean was everyone's beloved Southern cook on TV. People adored her charming smile, her butter-laden recipes, and her warm personality. She had successful cookbook shows and restaurants. Everything seemed perfect until it wasn't. The trouble began when Lisa T. Jackson, a manager at one of Dean's restaurants, filed a harassment lawsuit. During the court proceedings, Dean was required to answer certain questions under oath, and that's when things took a shocking turn. She admitted to using racial slurs in the past and allowing racist jokes in her establishments. But the most troubling revelation came when she discussed her desire to create a Southern-style plantation wedding for her brother. This wedding idea stemmed from a restaurant she had visited where all the employees were black and dressed in white jackets with black bow ties, reminiscent of the Old South. When the public learned about this, they were taken aback. It wasn't just about offensive language anymore, it revealed her troubling views on race. Dean attempted to make amends by posting numerous apology videos on YouTube. She stated that the color of your skin, your religion, your sexual preference does not matter. However, people struggled to believe her sincerity. They felt her apologies were more about damage control than genuine understanding of why her actions were wrong. If you think that was the most shocking comment on racism, just wait until you hear the next one. Number 13. Anthony Cumia. What Times Square's photo session led to the downfall of a radio shock jock? Sometimes, a single photo can bring everything crashing down. Just ask Anthony Cumia. He was half of the renowned radio duo Opie and Anthony, and they had been entertaining audiences for nearly 20 years. The show was thriving on Sirius XM, where they had been since early 2004. Known for pushing the boundaries and saying outrageous things, they typically understood where to draw the line. Then came that fateful day in Times Square in 2014. Cumia was taking pictures, a hobby he enjoyed. According to him, a woman accidentally entered his frame. He claimed that she became furious about being photographed and attacked him out of nowhere. But what happened next was entirely his decision, and it was undoubtedly the wrong one. Instead of addressing the situation calmly and professionally, Cumia unleashed a racist tirade on Twitter. He referred to the woman as a savage and made derogatory comments about black people and violence. He likely thought his tweets would vanish into the digital ether, but someone at Gawker saved them all. This wasn't Cumia's first brush with controversy either. The show had faced several scandals before, but this time was different. His tweets were so overtly racist that Sirius XM could not overlook them. They stated that his behavior was wholly inconsistent with what Sirius XM represents. In other words, they couldn't allow someone to express such blatant racist views on their platform. They suspended him, effectively ending a partnership that had lasted a decade. Just like that, a series of angry tweets obliterated years of his success. It serves as a stark reminder of how dangerous social media can be. When you're upset and have a platform, a single moment of poor judgment can erase a lifetime of career building. Number 12. Roseanne Barr.
Trying to talk about Valerie Jarrett wrote the Iran deal.
I know, but you've told me this 300 times. Do you know that if...
That's what my tweet was about.
This is a story about how success can disappear in just 280 characters. In 2018, Roseanne Barr was riding high. Her show Roseanne had made a triumphant return to television after being off the air for more than 20 years. And guess what? Audiences loved it. The show's comeback was monumental. It achieved ABC's highest ratings in over a decade. Everyone was buzzing about how wonderful it was to have Roseanne back. But late one night, Roseanne made a grave mistake. She took to Twitter and posted a racist comment about Valerie Jarrett, a former advisor to President Obama. She compared Jarrett, a woman of color, to a character from Planet of the Apes. The tweet was so shocking that people were left in disbelief, and I don't blame them. ABC didn't hesitate to act. Even though the show was raking in profits and other season was already in the work, they canceled it immediately. Just like that, hundreds of people lost their jobs because of one person's racist tweet. Roseanne made numerous attempts to make amends. She tweeted several apologies and attributed her behavior to taking Ambien, a sleep medication. However, she then did something that raised doubts about her sincerity. She lashed out at her co-stars Sarah Gilbert and Michael Fishman when they condemned her racist tweet. Number 11. Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly was a prominent figure in television, so much so that NBC paid her $69 million to join their ranks. However, she already had a track record of making controversial statements about race. Remember when she claimed that Santa Claus could only be white? That should have been a major red flag. In 2018, during the Halloween season, Kelly chose to discuss costumes on her show, Megyn Kelly Today. She hosted an all-white panel to debate whether blackface was acceptable for costumes. Kelly seemed perplexed about why it would be offensive, stating, "What is racist? When I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing like a character." The backlash was swift. People were genuinely shocked that someone on national television didn't grasp why blackface was offensive. And it's important to remember that blackface has a long and painful history in America, used to mock and demean black individuals. Kelly attempted to rectify the situation in two ways. First, she sent an email to NBC staff asserting that she had never been a PC type of person. Then the following day, she went on air to apologize, and somewhat surprisingly, received a standing ovation. But NBC had seen enough. They began by replacing her show with reruns, ultimately leading to its complete cancellation. Number 10. Don Cherry.
I think I should have used the word everybody instead of you people. If I had it to do over again, I think I would have used everybody.
How did a simple comment about a Veterans Day poppy lead to the downfall of an iconic hockey commentator? It's intriguing how being extremely famous in Canada can allow you to say almost anything for 40 years and still escape serious consequences. That was Don Cherry. He was like the grandfather of hockey commentary, known for his flamboyant outfits and even louder opinions. People expected him to be controversial, and it was part of his appeal. But in 2019, during a segment called Coach's Corner, Cherry crossed the line. He was discussing Remembrance Day, similar to Veterans Day in the US, and the red poppies worn to honor veterans. He observed that in Toronto, where many immigrants reside, he didn't see many people wearing poppies. Instead of simply encouraging everyone to wear poppies, he made a comment that deeply offended many. He said, "You people love our way of life, love our milk and honey. At least you could pay a couple of bucks for poppies." The phrase, "you people," was clearly directed at new immigrants, and it struck a nerve. This wasn't Cherry's first encounter with controversy. He had previously criticized Colin Kaepernick for kneeling during the national anthem and had mocked European hockey players for years. Back in 1990, he even protested against immigrants taking jobs, but this time was different. Sportsnet, his employer, decided it was time for Cherry to go. They stated, "Sports bring people together. It unites us, not divide us." Number 9. Walter Brennan. A 3-time Academy Award winner celebrated for his charm and versatility, Walter Brennan captivated audiences in numerous westerns and family comedies. Beginning his career in vaudeville before moving to radio and film, he seemed like the quintessential grandfather figure. However, beneath his folksy demeanor lay extreme political and racist beliefs. He was vehemently opposed to the civil rights movement, dismissing it as merely a communist conspiracy. His obsessions drove him to construct a bunker at his home, preparing for what he feared would be a Soviet invasion. As a member of the John Birch Society, he utilized the voice of his beloved character Grandpa Imus to disseminate controversial racist messages. His reactions to the death of civil rights leaders revealed a troubling lack of empathy and exposed deep-seated prejudices. Number 8. Taylor Selfridge. Now, how did tweets from 2012 suddenly bring an end to a reality star's career in 2020? This story illustrates how your past social media posts can come back to haunt you years later. Taylor Selfridge was thriving on MTV's Teen Mom OG, even on the verge of having her own special segment about becoming a mother. But then, something from her past resurfaced. Tweets she had written in 2012 and 2013. And these weren't just any tweets, they were overtly racist, including ones where she stated that she wouldn't greet black customers at work because they scared her. Now, here's the twist. MTV knew about these tweets already. They had even featured another cast member, Cheyenne Floyd, confronting Selfridge about them on the show. However, in 2020, as the Black Lives Matter movement gained momentum, MTV decided they needed to take decisive action. They pulled Selfridge's special just before it was set to air and severed their relationship with her entirely. They stated that they strongly condemn systemic racism. Selfridge's attempt to downplay the situation by claiming that it was her choice to leave. She posted on Instagram asserting that she no longer believed reality TV was beneficial for her. She also criticized MTV, alleging that they had double standards regarding the behavior they tolerated from other individuals. Number 7. Aby Lee Miller.
And you know what? I want her in an afro. Holly wants her daughter to be like every other little girl.
Now, what do you think led to a dance instructor's virtual show being canceled before it even started? Well, here's the story about how attempting to support a cause can backfire when your past actions contradict your current message. Aby Lee Miller gained fame as the tough and demanding dance teacher on Dance Moms for 8 seasons. She was so popular that Lifetime planned to launch a new show called Abby's Virtual Dance-Off. In 2020, amid the Black Lives Matter protests, Miller did what many celebrities were doing. She posted a black square on Instagram to express her support. However, this seemingly simple act triggered a wave of memories for her former dance students and their families. Adriana Smith, whose daughter Cameron appeared on the show, couldn't remain silent. She shared a painful story about how Miller once told her, "I know you grew up in the hood with only a box of 8 crayons, but I grew up in the country club with a box of 64. Don't be stupid." This comment highlighted how Miller looked down on individuals based on their background and race. Lifetime took these allegations seriously. They didn't just suspend Miller's upcoming virtual show, they severed all ties with her. It served as a powerful reminder that posting a black square doesn't erase years of racist behavior. Miller later issued an apology on Instagram, but for many it felt like too little, or perhaps a little too late. Number 6. Harley Sawyer. Sometimes your past catches up with you when you least expect it. Harley Sawyer was living the dream. He portrayed a superhero named Ralph Dibny on The Flash for 3 full seasons. Fans adored him, and his career was thriving. Then someone unearthed his old Twitter account. The tweets they discovered were truly shocking. In one, he had joked about making racist comments, saying that the only thing that was stopping him was that Al Sharpton would never stop complaining about me. There were other offensive remarks as well, and even though he had written them before joining The Flash, they were still his words. When these tweets surfaced, Sawyer attempted to apologize. He took to Instagram expressing regret and trying to convey that he had changed since those days. However, the CW, the network behind The Flash, had a strict policy. They do not tolerate any form of racist or discriminatory behavior. The company didn't hesitate. They announced that Sawyer would not be returning for season 7 of The Flash. They issued a strong statement declaring that they do not tolerate derogatory remarks that target any race, ethnicity, national origin, gender, or orientation. Number 5. Lea Michele.
Remember when you made my first television gig a living hell? Because I'll never forget. I believe you told everyone that if you had the opportunity, you would in my wig.
A tweet of support backfires so smoothly. This is a story about how showing support for Black Lives Matter led to someone's own history of racism being exposed. In May of 2020, Lea Michele, known for his role as Rachel Berry on Glee, tweeted her shock and sadness over George Floyd's death, while expressing her support for Black Lives Matter. However, her tweet opened a door to her past that she likely wished had remained closed. Samantha Ware, who had acted alongside Michelle on Glee, saw the tweet and felt compelled to speak out. Ware shared her own experience of working with Michelle, and it was far from positive. She claimed that Michelle had made her first TV job a living hell, and it even made her afraid to quote-unquote "S in my wig." These weren't just hurtful comments, they were racist microaggressions that led Ware to question whether she even wanted to stay in Hollywood. Michelle attempted to address the situation by apologizing, but her apology only made things worse when she claimed she didn't remember doing those things to wear. This response infuriated people even more, highlighting her apparent inability to acknowledge her cruelty. The fallout was swift. HelloFresh, a meal delivery service that had partnered with Michelle for promotions, immediately severed their relationship with her. They made it clear that they do not condone racism nor discrimination of any kind. Number 4. John Mayer. Now, have you ever wondered how a single interview can tarnish a celebrity's reputation, or how attempts at edgy humor can reveal deep-seated racial biases? Back in March, John Mayer was already recognized as a talented guitarist, and occasionally a controversial figure in pop culture. However, few could have predicted the backlash that would ensue following his Playboy magazine interview. The real question is, what made his comments so particularly problematic? During the interview, Mayer was asked whether African-American women were attracted to him. His response? That's where things took a crucial turn for the worse. Instead of providing a straightforward answer, he launched into a series of racially charged remarks, comparing his dating preferences to white supremacy, and making disparaging comments about specific black actresses. The most striking aspect? Mayer seemed to believe that he could excuse these comments by framing them as quote-unquote humor. He even claimed that black people loved him, as if that would somehow render his offensive remarks acceptable to everyone. Yeah, I don't know either. Richard T. Ford, an expert on race relations, happily compared Mayer's failed attempts at edgy humor to Sarah Silverman's more successful approach to racial sarcasm. While Silverman manages to be both funny and thought-provoking, Mayer's comments came off as simply offensive and rather dull. Perhaps the only genuinely realistic thing Mayer said in the entire interview was his own admission: "I think the world would be better off if I stopped doing interviews." Given the controversy that followed, this might have been his most accurate statement of all. Number 3. Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton, a hotel heiress turned media personality, has recently revealed a darker chapter of her past in her memoir, Paris the Memoir. While many recognize her as the star who popularized phrases like, "that's hot," there's a more complex story lurking beneath the surface. Before she became a household name, young Paris was sent to Provo Canyon School, a psychiatric youth facility. Within its walls, she claimed she endured sexual abuse and grooming that left lasting emotional scars. In her memoir, Hilton addresses her past use of various slurs, including racist and homophobic language. She connects these actions to her PTSD from her time at Provo and her struggles with alcohol. However, what's particularly striking is a refusal to use these explanations as mere excuses. "Sometimes I was just wasted and being an effing moron," she candidly admits, acknowledging that while her trauma impacted her filter, her behavior while under the influence was still her own responsibility. Number 2. Justin Bieber.
Why are black people afraid of chainsaws? Don't even say it. Don't say it.
What drives a teenage superstar to make racist jokes, and how does it come back to haunt them years later? The journey from child star to controversial artist is one that we've witnessed many times before. Justin Bieber, who shot to fame as an innocent 13-year-old YouTube sensation, found himself at the center of a troubling controversy when The Sun newspaper unveiled a disturbing video from 2011. In the footage, a young Bieber is seen lounging on the chair with his friends, but what happens next shocked his millions of fans. The singer tells a racist joke targeting black people, using the N-word repeatedly while mimicking chainsaw noises. Even more revealing are the voices in the background attempting to intervene, indicating an awareness that this behavior was profoundly wrong. The timing couldn't have been worse for the star. The video surfaced during an already tumultuous period in Bieber's life. He was grappling with legal issues on multiple fronts, including a DUI charge in Florida, an assault case in Toronto involving a limousine driver, and an investigation for allegedly egging his neighbor's house. Some of Bieber's associates reportedly suggested that he could have used the word motorcycle instead, a detail that underscores how even those around him recognize the inappropriateness of his words while seemingly trying to downplay the impact rather than confront the issue directly. And number 1 on our list, Donald Trump.
I am the least racist person. I can't even see the audience because it's so dark, but I don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
How did one of America's most controversial presidents consistently find himself at the center of racism allegations? During a presidential debate in a dimly lit auditorium, a moment occurred that encapsulated years of racial controversy. "I am the least racist person," declared Donald Trump. "I can't even see the audience because it's so dark, but I don't care who's in the audience." Now, you might wonder what prompted this defensive statement. Well, let's rewind to the beginning. The story starts with an escalator ride that will forever alter American politics. In 2015, Trump launched his presidential campaign by descending the golden escalator in Trump Tower. During his announcement speech, he made inflammatory comments about Mexican immigrants, setting a tone that would resonate throughout his presidency. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. What followed was a series of actions and policies that critics pointed to as evidence of racial bias, including the implementation of a ban on travelers from several Muslim-majority countries, commonly referred to as the Muslim ban. His response to Charlottesville rally, where he remarked about very fine people on both sides, and his infamous exchange regarding the Proud Boys when he said, "Stand back and stand by." His communication style was likened to a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn, meaning his messages, while sometimes appearing innocuous on the surface, were interpreted by many as containing coded racist undertones. Despite his repeated claims of being the least racist person, Trump's presidency was characterized by policies and statements that many perceived as exacerbating racial tensions. From his comments about whole countries to criticism of Black Lives Matter protesters, his words and actions predominantly ignited debates about racism in American politics. Critics argue that he pours fuel on every single racist fire. And that's a wrap, folks. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed our video. Share your thoughts in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss on any updates from us. Take care.